lack of knowledge, and that knowledge is not only lacking with the founders, but also with the people that help the founders. It's super important, not that they can sell their pitch, because everybody can learn that, but it's more important how they handle the questions. So these are the three, I would say. So specialized investor, the team, and can it scale? If you are an investor, it helps if you have experience in setting up a startup. There are a lot of challenges in the world, right? And I'm a big believer that technology can solve them. So that's also my main motivation.
Welcome back to another episode of the Startup Passport by Econsulate. Today we are joined by Gilles Meijer. Thank you very much. You are the co-founder of Golden Egg Check.
That's correct. Thank you.
You co-founded Golden Egg Check over a decade ago by now. How has your mission changed since then?
A lot, I would say. We started in 2015, indeed, with the mission to make the VC and the investment world more transparent. But back then it was upcoming, so we did research towards what kind of criteria investors are using in assessing business plans. And back then that was quite new. That's also where the name is coming from. So you want to check if you have the gold egg, as an investor or a startup or whoever. And now, of course, there's way more information and intelligence about that. So we transformed from a, let's say, consultancy company into a matchmaker when the COVID pandemic hit. So we matchmake between startups and investors. And since 3 years, we also invest ourselves. So we stayed in the same ecosystem, but our mission changed from, let's say, being more a consultant and helping them towards exactly investing ourselves.
And you yourself did a master in Twente at the university there, but still Golden Egg Check, one of the things that Golden Egg Check is about is that there's still like a lack of knowledge and methods for startups and for entrepreneurs.
Yep.
So do you think it's the maybe the stereotypical thing to say that it's maybe something that you cannot really learn entrepreneurship or study in that sense, maybe to put it more in that way? Is that something that you kind of align with, and therefore Golden Egg Check was also partially founded?
Yes, I agree for the most part, because you can also learn by doing, right? So I think that's super important. And luckily there are way more of these programs like validation programs and accelerators that actually are doing that. But that's not let's say the traditional way of education, of course. But you're correct. My master was in innovative entrepreneurship and business development. But most things I learned were for big corporates. So it was nothing about startups. Maybe startup finance was one of the courses I did. It's a long time ago, because that was 2007. So it took me a while before actually coming to Golden Egg Check. And before that, we learned it on the job, let's say, because we started as business developers. So we helped a lot of startups with business development, with market analysis, with getting to funding. And I think that was my main form of education and figuring out like, okay, there is a lot to do around investment, but we see a lack of knowledge. And that knowledge is not only lacking with the founders, but also with the people that help the founders, let's say the coaches. So that's where we stepped in. So I agree. And I think it would be very good that way more people from actually, let's say, ex-founders or ex-investors do more in education, because I think that's the best lesson you can learn.
And Golden Egg Check now also has their own venture capital fund.
Yes.
And well, now that you have been both an entrepreneur before, now you're also, of course, involved in the venture capital fund.
Mm-hmm.
What are things you are looking for when potentially investing in a startup, in an entrepreneur? Do you rather look at the entrepreneur, at their motivation, or more at the core business model?
Yeah, good question. We are a bit of an atypical venture capital investor, I would say, because we do pretty small tickets, but we do a lot of tickets, right? So that means that we always co-invest. So one of the first criteria that we look at is like, okay, is there an investor that we believe in, and are they a specialist in the market? So with all due respect for example, regional investment agencies, they're not specialists. They're also generalists like us. So we always try to collaborate with a specialized investor. So that's one of the criteria that we're looking at. We also look a lot at founders, indeed. So it's super important, not that they can sell their pitch, because everybody can learn that, but it's more important how they handle the questions, right? So if you challenge them a little bit on the vision or questions about why they want to raise money, that's where you really learn the most from talking to them. So that's maybe the second thing. It's super broad because team is super broad, but let's take it for now. And the third thing is, okay, can it scale? And that's maybe the biggest lesson that I learned also by looking at other investors. The simple trick is like, okay, if we invest today in a company worth 10 million, so let's say that's the valuation, can it grow to 100 million in 5 years? And if that's not possible, then we don't invest. So it should always be let's say an X10 ratio. And it doesn't mean that the company is not great or doesn't have the potential to become great, but it can be too early or too late, or just that we think like, hey, there's no match in what we can do. So these are the three, I would say. So specialized investor, the team, and can it scale? These are three.
And in your daily operations, how much does your background, you have not only co-founded Golden Egg Check, but also other companies,
Yeah.
how much does that give you a motivation for what you're doing right now?
Yeah, very much. I think it's super important that you also have some experience as an investor. Or let's say if you are an investor, it helps if you have experience in setting up a startup. Because it's not only the financial part, as I'm mentioning it right now, but you know that every company is going through different phases and it goes up and down. So I think it's very necessary that there's more of also of a there should be awareness for mental health and this kind of stuff. You know, I think that's super important. Yeah, and I just want to. It sounds maybe a bit American, but I really believe that there are a lot of challenges in the world, right? And I'm a big believer that technology can solve them, or at least a lot of them. So that's also my main motivation. That's also why we want to invest in a lot of companies. We think it's necessary, especially in the Netherlands and in Europe, to do that.
We have 3 more questions.
Okay.
We always say 3 quick questions, 3 quick answers.
Yeah, okay, sure. I'll try.
Yes. So the first one is, if you could give an advice to yourself, to your younger self, when you were just starting off with your own companies, what would it be in the after run?
Find the right people around you that are different than you.
The most overrated thing entrepreneurs spend too much time on?
Good question. I have to be quick, right? So the most overrated thing I would say is fundraising in the early stage.
And then probably a little bit of a silly one. Excuse me. You founded a company called Startup Roulette. If you had to gamble all of your companies, red or black?
Black.
Black.
Yes.
Cool. And then just lastly, an outlook on the future with Golden Egg Check. Where do you see the organization still going for the next 5-10 years?
Yeah, that's pretty clear in our case, because we have a fund, and we're gonna expand the fund. So we already know that we have to fundraise now for the next fund. So we started as a really small fund, €500,000. Now it's 5 million, and we're gonna now fundraise for, let's say, 15 to 20 million. But we also have to invest that in 2 years. So it means that, let's say, within a year, we always have to fundraise again for the next fund. So we're going to grow to a certain level that we cannot say anymore that we do small tickets in a lot of companies. So we have to make a decision in either becoming a more traditional VC or stick to a certain level. But the next fund is clear. We want to grow to a fund of 15 million, can do a bit more tickets, expand a little bit, maybe lead some rounds in some cases. And after that, we still want to shake up the VC industry, and how, we don't know yet.
Okay, but it will definitely be interesting to follow, especially also for the startups and entrepreneurs that are seeking for funding. So thank you very much for all of the insights and for your work with Golden Egg Check.
Yes, thank you.